Welcome to the PD Pet Care Vlogs. I'm Dr. Cath Watson, and today we're going to talk about why dogs eat poo. So dogs will eat poo from other species like cattle, sheep, but they'll also eat their own poo from time to time. While we're not so worried about them eating the poo of other species, because it's actually pretty normal behaviour, we're not sure why they do it completely, but there's probably some nutrients that they're getting from it. At the end of the day, it's just digested food, but it may also just be texture, feels good in their mouth sort of thing. But when it comes to eating their own poo, that's not so normal. There are some good reasons why dogs will eat their own poo or other dogs' poo. The main one is for mums feeding puppies. So she will lick puppies' bottoms to encourage them to go to the toilet and then clean up the poo that they produce. Not so worried about that. That's again pretty normal behaviour, particularly when you're talking about a litter of puppies that are not particularly mobile. Good way of keeping the environment clean. Which links into the next reason that sometimes dogs will eat their poo or the poo of other dogs that they're potentially living with, and that's instinctive. So it's about keeping their den, if you like, clean. Would suggest that perhaps the people those dogs are living with not quite so good at picking up the poo as maybe they should be, although as I'll come to shortly, there are some other reasons that dogs will eat poo. So it's not necessarily if your dog is doing it that you're a bad parent, but like I say, it's understanding the reasons behind why they're eating it. So some of the reasons that dogs will eat poo that we're not so happy with and need some attention. First one, and probably the biggest one, is anxiety. So some dogs have potentially been told off when they were younger for pooing inside because it's the wrong place to poo, or not necessarily inside, but pooing in places that they're not meant to poo, and they've been told off, and they've ended up so fearful about it and not really understanding what they've done wrong, because at the end of the day they've just been told off. They don't necessarily associate it with what they've done, or why that's wrong. So those dogs become so fearful that they'll end up eating the poo to essentially get rid of the evidence. Because like I say, they're so fearful they're going to be told off. What's the best thing you can do? Get rid of the evidence. Nobody knows it's there unless they're caught in the act of eating the poo, in which case they get told off again, and now you're talking about a very confused dog who doesn't really know what they did wrong in the first place, and now they're doing something wrong again and they still don't really know what they're doing wrong. So anxiety can obviously have other causes as well than just being told off. So if you've got a generally anxious dog, dealing with that underlying anxiety problem, if it's leading to eating poo, is a really important step in resolving the problem. It can also indicate disease in an older dog, particularly a dog who's never normally eaten poo in the past and suddenly starts eating their poo or other dogs' poo. That can be a sign that maybe there's some imbalances there or a disease process that's going on that is best addressed. And that's particularly common in dogs who suddenly become ravenously hungry, which can have a bunch of different causes, things like sugar diabetes, Cushing's disease, and so on. If those dogs are suddenly ravenously hungry, they'll eat everything in front of them, including poo, which is not so good. Another reason we may see that particularly puppies will start eating poo is because it becomes a game. So whether they've been told off or just you've had a kind of gross reaction, as most of us do, as far as the pup's concerned, that's a reaction, that's a good thing. They're getting attention out of it, so they're going to keep doing it to get more attention. So trying not to turn it into a game would be a really good start when it comes to training puppies to eat poo. So how do we prevent them from eating poo, or how do we discourage them from eating poo? Big one, pick it up. So if you have got a dog that's allowed to poo in your backyard, then obviously making sure you pick it up once they've been. They're usually pretty regular with their habits. If you're out and about walking on the trails, picking the poo up, nobody really wants to see poo on the trails that they're commonly on, and although it might be interesting for other dogs to come past and sniff it, there's obviously a risk that other dogs could eat it as well. So picking it up and disposing of it in a rubbish bin, much better idea. If you've got a dog who likes to poo and then turn around, whip around and eat it straight away, then obviously finding some way to distract them when they're going to the toilet. So whether that's, or when they've finished going to the toilet, so whether that's their favourite squeaky toy, throwing them a ball or a stick or something to distract them from what they've just produced into something that's much more fun, and then obviously you can get in there and pick up the poo before they get a chance to eat it. I said before, if anxiety is a component of why the dog is eating its own poo or even other dogs' poo, then managing that anxiety, and you're going to need some professional help with that. So go and talk to your veterinarian. They may well refer you on to a behaviourist to help with those issues. If you are training a dog, toilet training a dog, then using positive reinforcement, so encouraging them, praising them when they go somewhere you want them to go, when they leave the poo alone, all that sort of stuff. Positive reinforcement is going to work much better than telling them off and potentially creating an anxious or fearful dog or turning it into a game. So if they do something wrong, just pick it up, get rid of it. Don't make a big fuss about it. But when they do something right, make sure they know they've done something right there. There are some supplements out there that apparently can make poo less attractive. So you feed them to the dog, and when the poo comes out the other end, doesn't smell so good to them, not so keen on eating. Haven't had any personal experience with those, so I can't give you much information on that. But if you've come to the end of your tether, you've done the retraining, it's really not working, there's no underlying disease issues or anxiety issues, you're picking up the poo when you can, all the rest of it, then maybe they're worth a try. The only other thing I'll mention is cat poo, because that also seems to be quite attractive to dogs. And if you've got a cat at home that likes to use a litter tray, then blocking access to the litter tray is the best way to stop them eating the cat poo. And the cat will thank you for it as well, because from a cat's perspective, having a dog raiding your toilet, not the best way to encourage a cat to keep using the toilet either. So yes, dogs will eat poo. If it's poo of other species, particularly herbivores, sheep, cattle and so on, not so worried about it. Not so good with the cat poo, not to mention the toxoplasmosis issue with that, but they shouldn't normally be eating their own or other dog's poo. That is an issue that you should seek advice on why your dog may be doing that and put management in place to prevent it continuing.